We're recording Frankford L. Can't Get to Heaven on the Frankford L, done by the American Dream. You know, the band itself was a very special band. Todd Rundgren produced this record, and it was a Philadelphia local phenom band of great musicians and legendary musicians throughout the years.
Well, we were a band of corner kids coming out of high school up in northeast Philly. We end up hooking up with a singer, Richard Johnson, and Nick Jameson, introduced to us by Paul Fishkin, who was at the time managing the Naz, Todd Rundgren's group, the Naz. And he introduced us, and we hit it off right away. Started in the cellar on Sampson Street, throwing blues back and forth 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. And Paul eventually offered to manage us, and then 5 years of a beautiful run. Todd Rundgren came along, he was interested. He produced our first and only album, and fate had it, didn't have, you know, it wasn't in the stars, you know, but it was a great time in my life. I wouldn't change a thing.
I remember being in high school when it came out, and it was pretty exciting because it was homegrown music. It was Philly music, local rock and roll.
Nick Jameson, one of the main members of the American Dream, I grew up with his little brother, David Jameson. We lived in a house at Green and Tulpehocken, just south of Green, and they lived 2 doors just north of Green, so we were neighbors. And then from the time I was like 10 years old, Davey was a drummer, and our other friend, Michael Radcliffe, we had a band, and we rehearsed in their basement, in the Jameson's basement, and this is while the American Dream was doing their thing, you know, I guess 69, maybe 70, 68 in there. So that song, you know, I sort of watched it come about as they were making these records.
I remember when the song came out quite a few years ago. I was much younger, and I kind of dug it because it was talking about an area that I knew. Like a lot of songs you'd hear and you'd be like, I wonder where that is. But in this case, it was like, oh, I know where the Frankford L is. I've been there.
What I like about Frankford L is that it's like Philly hillbilly, you know? We got the Philadelphia sing-along, jam-along. It has a great feeling of community. It talks about our history, mentions streets in Philadelphia. It's just a feel-good song.
I saw the American Dream perform live intact one time, and that was at the Main Point. And I don't remember what year it was. Maybe it was '68. I'm not sure. But I was very impressed by that band. That was a really good rock band.
We had a little thing I had put together. We called it the Country Jam, and we just would jam, and it was instrumental. Well, on the way down to practice from the Northeast, Nicky and Delicata, Nicky Jameson, they started with the words, they're taken from the Can't Get to Heaven on the trolley car, because the trolley car don't go that far. So they just put it together in about the 30-minute ride that it took to get uptown from the Northeast.
This song is more about the attitude and the vibe. In the other songs, we wanted to capture the original and then kind of make it in the pocket. But this one is just get in the room, have fun, and just do a song that's just fun to listen to and fun to sing along with. The recording is going great. Wink's having fun, we're having fun, and it's just capture that moment. More than any other in the pocket track, it wasn't, well, let's work on this part or that part. It's just been, boom, we captured it, it's done.
This was kind of a lot of fun because it is so kind of loose and a party in the studio, which is a great way to make a record. You know, it's not the sort of song that anybody's agonizing over parts. It's more about getting a good feel and a good vibe and everybody just sort of playing.
We all knew the song, or kind of like had to like refresh our memory by listening to the recording again, but certainly didn't rehearse or anything. And WINKLE and I ended up doing some double guitar stuff, and none of that was sketched out until we were actually counting. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And it's so much fun when something like that comes together. It's basically pretty spontaneous, and that's a great way to create, you know. So, and those of us in the room, we've worked together several times now, and it's really fun to make music together with these guys. Are good. Yeah.
Playing with these guys, especially with Don, you know, with WINKLE over here singing, it's great because it just brings back memories of fun teenage times. And I think we're kind of recreating that here in the studio. I think everybody really has that feel, that flavor. It's definitely, you know, a hoot. It's definitely a lot of fun.
I have only a limited experience with the original record. My actual connection to it is only that Eric Bazillion told me the story of when they were writing Beat Up Guitar, just having the kind of brainstorm to take that one line for the middle eight of that song, that you can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L because the Frankfurt L goes straight to Frankfurt, and kind of nicking it for that song. So I'm more aware of it as kind of a jokey reference in a Hooters song than any other way.
You can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L. You can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L. You can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L. You can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L. Oh, you can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L, cause the Frankfurt L goes straight to Frankfurt. It's just another stop till I find my destination.
I have rode the Frankfurt L, of course I have. It's, you know, before, back in the day, early days of the Hooters, I remember I used to grab the L to get to certain parts of the city. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the Frankfurt L. And you can get to Frankfurt riding the Frankfurt L.
It's ironic because it's L because it's elevated, but I guess it's also L-shaped because it basically goes center city, like at City Hall, sort of like the 0 point, goes all the way out to West Philly. And you can take it to the end of the line to go to the Tower Theater, which I often did, or any stop along there to go to West Philly. And then on this side of the L, the other shape of the L, it goes all the way up to a Margaret Orthodox, and I guess that's the last stop, Frankfurt. And so you could go all the way up to the Northeast. And I had a pretty intimate relationship with the Frankfurt L, used it a lot to go those places, and had an alter ego back in my young days, having to do with aerosol paint, and we rode the L quite frequently.
Jump on the train, y'all. You gotta buy a ticket. Get on board. Frankfurt L. We'll get heaven on the Frankfurt L. Can't get heaven on the Frankfurt L. Can't get heaven on the Frankfurt L. Cause the Frankfurt L goes straight to Frankfurt. Can't get heaven on the Frankfurt L. Oh, pick it up. Well, jump on the train, y'all. Buy your ticket. Climb aboard. Frankfurt L. We'll get heaven on the Frankfurt L. Can't get heaven on the Frankfurt L. Can't get heaven on the Frankfurt L. 'Cause the Frankfurt L goes straight